Let's go ahead and get to Argentina. Riots have broken out in Argentina after tax reforms passed the Senate. Now, people are pretty confused by this, so I want to explain it. Uh, Here's the tweet that people are confused about. So Mario Nafal tweeted this out. Riots are spreading across the Argentine capital after Milei's controversial tax reforms passed the nation's Senate in a closely contested vote yesterday. The reforms we will see cuts to VAT, personal income tax, and export duties. So people are like, what in the world? Why are they rioting in Argentina? I think, do we have footage of the riots? I mean, people are just going crazy in Argentina and over tax cuts. like make this make sense. There's these tax cuts and that doesn't matter. Can you fast forward to the actual riots? We don't need to see. Yeah, let's get to what's going. Yeah, there we go. Oh my gosh. Um, so just crazy, they're trying to shoot water at these people to get them. But there's been, you're seeing this is kind of mild in comparison to what we've been seeing trending online, but there's Molotov cocktails being shown. People are just really, really angry. And it's just nutty going on in Argentina. Do we have any of the rioting footage? These are the protests, but do we have, I don't know if we got any of the riot stuff. Okay. Oh, there's some. Oh, yeah, look at this. They're going crazy. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, it's getting nutty. Totally nutty. All right, now look, people don't riot like that over tax breaks. So let's clear up some of the confusion on what's really actually going on there. Javier Milei. So he was recently elected. He's the Libertarian. People are really, a lot of libertarians are championing the guy, saying, all right, he's going to go in there. This is the first libertarian ever to be elected to the presidency. And he calls himself an anarcho-capitalist. So very much in favor of slashing every single government entity, getting rid of all government spending, and turning everything over to the private sector and letting the free market handle things. Now, where libertarians think this is a really great idea, and by the way, I want to bring up that when I did the piece the other day about the banana republics, about the Chiquita Banana Company being held liable for killings, and then I asked the question, I'd love to hear from you libertarians on how do you square that? This was a private corporation that was able to go in there and able to dominate and own everything, and they were able to then hire these mercenaries and kill people. And I did get some emails, and they were actually quite thoughtful, good emails, where many of you expressed that's not true free market capitalism. That's not true principles of a libertarian. The United Fruit Company and then Chiquita, they were able to get in the governments of all of these countries. They were able to buy leadership, essentially, that it wasn't just this corporation coming in and siphoning the resources of the people, but that their own people sold them out. And that's true. There were leaders in these South American countries, in these Central American countries, who were corrupt, and they allowed this company to come in, and they allowed them to bribe them and to control them. And the United States government and the CIA was even very much involved in protecting the United Fruit Company and helping them commit all the atrocities that they were committing. When you look back at the massacre that happened in 1928, for example, the United Fruit Company was going to go to called up the U.S. and said, we need some help. So bring the troops. And the U.S. said, okay, we'll bring the troops. And then Colombia said, wait a minute, we don't really like the idea of American troops coming down here. We'll take care of it. And so Colombia actually then allowed their group to go and commit a massacre on behalf of the United Fruit Company. So, the libertarian idea would be you open everything up and government totally and completely stays out of it. And that's what Javier Milei is wanting to do in Argentina. So what happened that's causing the riot is that he put together a tax reform package that cuts a lot of taxes. But not only does it cut a lot of taxes, but it also cuts pensions. People do not like that. It also left thousands of people who worked for the government suddenly unemployed because he slashed government. Agencies. It also privatized certain public resources. So if anybody is wondering why the country broke out in riots, it's because the people suddenly have found themselves without jobs, without resources, without government subsidies that they were going to be given, with their pensions being cut. So everything was they're obviously very upset about this. Now, clearly that's, a lot of people will say, especially libertarians and those on the right will say, and I agree, that if you give people welfare and then you suddenly take the welfare away, they're not going to be happy about that. They're going to scream and shout and riot. If you were to cut your kids off, we see this like, oh, I'm cutting you off from the allowance. I can't give it to you anymore. You need to grow up and get a job. They're not going to be happy about it. And they're going to be maybe some tantrums that are thrown. So it could be argued that what's happening right now in Argentina is just a giant tantrum from the populace, that this is why you don't want to get your population addicted to government subsidies and welfare programs, because it's unsustainable and eventually you're going to have to pull the plug on them. And when you do, you're going to get riots in the streets. People are not going to be happy about that. And I think that's probably accurate. That's probably accurate. However, at this point, Milei's measures have yet to be proven positive. Since he's been in office, inflation has soared to 300%. Poverty has increased to 55%. The recession in Argentina has deepened. Excuse me. Excuse me. I had a little sneeze. Maybe things need to get worse before they get better. I mean, there's an argument to be made there that these libertarian principles, when you start to cut things, that it does, because he's doing this kind of shock doctrine therapy to Argentina, and things are going to get worse at first when you start pulling the plug and you're starting to try to implement policies that would be attractive to investment and to productivity. But in the beginning, you're going to go through growing pains. That is possible. He hasn't been in office long enough for us to really know either way. But the inflation has been really, really, really bad. Let me just show you this. This is an inflation. This came out, the inflation. This is a chart, a consumer price inflation chart. Argentina tops the list on this chart. You can see that Argentina's, since Javier Milei, when did he come into office? Let me just actually look at this. When did he come into office? It was fairly recent, right? So how long has he been president? Let me just check this out. Since December. Okay. So since December, in December, inflation was at 211% in Argentina. Then in January, it went up to 254. February, 276. March, 287. April, 289. So they're pushing 300% inflation at this point. It's only gone up and up and up and up. Now, the inflation was already going up well before he got into office. That was the trend. When for the year prior, for example, 1 year before he came into office, it was at 94%. And then it climbed by the time he took over to 200%. So a lot of inflation in Argentina in that 1 year time period. So I would say it was on that trajectory, and that somebody that's been in only for a handful of months can't turn that around right away. It takes time. So I think there's a possibility. There is a possibility still that his policies could work. It could be that, and I do believe that this is probably true for a lot of the South American and Central American countries, largely because of U.S. meddling in banana republics and sanctions on these countries, which has to end. But a lot of the countries have put their population on welfare programs, essentially, in order to keep them from rioting when the rich were siphoning off the resources, be they foreign rich people or local rich people or politicians. The rich were getting wealthier, the poor were getting poorer. And so in order to quell the population so that they wouldn't come for their heads, they implemented a lot of welfare programs, way more than we have here. They get way more time off, holidays, and more welfare programs, subsidies from the government. And so when you put people on that and you take it away, they're going to scream and shout, even if it's ultimately for their benefit and ultimately will make the society stronger. I'm still willing to kind of we're not going to talk about Javier Milei's other controversial issues, being with the World Economic Forum and being going to Jerusalem for his first foreign trip, and all of that aside, let's just look at the economics of Argentina. I'm open to the idea that Argentina's turnaround might be good for Argentina in this shock doctrine therapy, because I do not believe Javier Milei will be the president of Argentina forever. So it's a period of time where a lot of those band-aids could be ripped off, some of the damage could be undone. And when the next person comes in to kind of say, okay, we've done enough now, we can balance it back out. I don't think these countries, I don't think any of the South American countries or Central American countries are going to go full on libertarian for too long, but maybe just long enough to kind of push the pendulum back into balance. That's a possibility. So we'll see how this goes, but that is why people are rioting in Argentina. A lot of people have been confused by this because the only report has been, well, he cut taxes and now people are mad. Oh, come on. It's never that. Nobody's mad about cutting taxes. They're mad about the reason why the taxes were cut. You know, that was like the gift. It was, okay, I'm going to take away all these government programs and some of you are going to lose your jobs now because we're cutting all these government programs and government agencies. But in return, I'm also going to cut some of your taxes. They're really upset about the other stuff being cut. So that's what's actually going on in Argentina. But we'll keep watching and see what Javier Milei does. You know, I'm still open to see. I'm still open. We'll see if that works. I do think, though, that if you open up your economy for all of these foreign investors to come in, you really put yourself at risk for developing another banana republic. And I don't trust, just me, I don't trust government officials to not become corrupted and bribed and bought off and start meddling. And I don't trust the companies to not try to bribe and corrupt the government and get policies passed in their favor. And and to say, we love that you've let us in. We don't really like though these free market policies because we want a leg up. We want we want you to help us out a bit. That's what companies do when they lobby. So I don't really trust that. I don't trust that system fully. I'm not a libertarian for this reason, because I just don't think that realistically works. I think humans are humans. And I think greed is a very, 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 very powerful emotion. But email me your thoughts, Kim@KimIverson.com. I would love to absolutely hear from you guys on that. Many of you, like I said, have been emailing me some really great comments about it. So I'd love to hear more from you. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you could catch just by heading to that link down below, KimIversonShow.com. You can watch the full show from what you just watched, or you could catch the full show live Monday through Friday, live streams, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you then. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Never miss a clip. Never miss a segment. Thanks, guys.